Yep, knife crime. I've been tackling knife crime for 20 years. And today, driving here to talk about knife crime, we've got this story. 2 London police officers were stabbed this morning. I think it's Leicester Square in the middle of London. Yep. Male officer stabbed 3 times in the neck and a female officer stabbed in the arm. Both are going to survive, so I'm really thankful for that. But what is our country coming to, and what's the capital coming to when even police officers are being attacked with knife crime?
London Mayor Sadiq Khan branded the incident as just another day in London. No, sorry, he said utterly appalling. I'm joking.
Yeah.
But it's like, this is your London. Sadiq Khan came in saying, I'm going to abolish stop and search because it's racist. And
and we're going to get to that. Yep. And to be fair, it's not all just about Sadiq Khan as well. You know, he's like that, but the Conservative Party are just as equally to blame. The next story is from Wednesday. You need to have a look at this. You won't believe this. This is in Huddersfield, which is, not London. And we have video captured of he looks like a teenager, masked up with, they call it a kitchen knife. If you zoom in, it's not a kitchen knife, it's a Rambo knife, walking up to this Asian guy and stabbing him.
Yeah.
How damaged that man is, I don't know. Broad daylight, outside a church, people filming, people walking past. It's not in the middle of the night. This is not after the pubs are closed. This doesn't look gang related. I don't know what's gone on here. But every day in Huddersfield. And this gent is walking around with a 12-inch Rambo hunting knife.
It's disgusting.
Absolutely. But this, like I say, this is not just London now. This is in all our small towns, cities. Knife crime has become an epidemic.
I saw machete attacks are on the rise as well. Like in Birmingham, there are gangs of black youths just attacking each other in the middle of the street, in the middle of the day with machetes. And it's like...
Cultural, because where do machetes come from? Africa.
Well,
so
yeah,
it is a cultural import of using the machete, which we've never had before, apart from in the Chinese communities. The Chinese gangs have used machetes. I witnessed once in Manchester, Chinatown, some guy getting chopped up. Don't know what he'd done, but this was about 30 years ago. If you click onto the next photo, so that's me 20 years ago. I had hair and it was black.
I haven't aged a day. What are you talking about?
So, like I say, I've worked with the police and worked stopping kids getting involved in crime for over 2 decades. Not just professionally, but personally as well. So I've been robbed at knife point when I worked in a shop in Moss Side in Manchester. A month later, they came back with guns, robbed me for a second time. My school teacher, when I was 15, music school teacher, got stabbed 42 times in the chest by a pupil who stayed after school to get her. And a friend, his brother, was jumped by some lads coming home from school, about 15, and he ran all the way home. It was only when he'd got home his mum realised he had a knife sticking out of his back. It punctured his lung. The knife was still in his lung, and that's what saved his life, because they got him to hospital. Then the surgeons removed the knife. Yeah. Otherwise, his lungs would have collapsed. Jesus. So I've seen this sort of stuff, firsthand from the 80s. And I've been working on the streets and employed people to work on the streets for the last 2 decades. And that's about speaking to these young people about crime and consequences. Can you guess why you think young people carry knives?
I would have thought it'd be out of self-defense.
That's probably the number one reason we get told. Yeah. So you'll have the hardcore criminals involved in gangs, and we tend not to speak to them because they won't speak to youth workers on the streets. But the kids who are low level involved in stuff, or just everyday kids hanging around, when we speak to them about the knife they're carrying, the number one reason is for protection. And we say, why protection? But because of social media and the media in general, they're terrified. Right. They read people being stabbed and people carrying knives, and they've come to the conclusion, a bit like us with the nuclear deterrent. Yeah. If you have the bomb, we need the bomb. Yeah. And these kids are going, if these people have got knives, I need a knife. And those kids are not the violent ones. They're more likely to be stabbed by their knife because they don't have it in them to stab somebody. So they pull it out. And then the other kid goes, I'm not having that.
I'll take it off you.
I'll take it off you because I know you won't stab me. But when I get your knife, I'm stabbing you, mate, because you've disrespected me. So some of the knife crime is about that. It's also about fashion. We have kids showing us their knives, coming up to us going, look what I've got, I bought off the internet. And we'll pull out zombie knives and pull out this and pull out that.
Weren't they banned? Zombie knives? I thought they were made legal.
You can't go into a shop in the UK to buy one, but the internet, you buy everything off the internet. They'll call it a fruit paring knife, and you'll buy it online. It's a zombie knife, so there's way around all this. But it's a status symbol. Right. Look what I've got. It's the latest thing. Look what I've got. The amount of knives I've taken off kids, and I've done it in a voluntary way because I can't just grab them by the throat and put the knife out the hand. I've got to say, when you leave this here and the police stop you in 10 minutes time, you might do time for that. And you scare them and they give you the knife and then we put it in the vehicle and we'll destroy it ourselves. So I've taken dozens of knives off kids. It's really, really frightening what they're carrying around with. When we talk about Sadiq Khan, if we go to the next. So that's Sadiq Khan.
2015?
When he was running for mayor saying he's going to cut stop and search.
Oh, it was so racist, Sadiq.
Yep, so racist. Our people are so friendly and nobody hurts each other in London. And what are we seeing in the last 6, 7, 8 years?
Oh, it's been horrific.
Epidemic of knife crime and crime in general.
Well, more dangerous than New York.
Yes.
At one point. And so it's just like, wow, well done, Sadiq.
And this is in the daytime. This is machete fights between different gangs. This is people now, stealing your watches off you, walking down the streets, robbing your car, people being assaulted. People always stop and film it. But have you noticed no one helps anybody anymore now in London?
Why would you?
No, exactly. But
why would you? Who are those people? I don't know who they are.
Because there's no sense of community. But exactly. I think pride would make me at least try to help. I don't think I could live with myself if I didn't try to help.
But that's you come from a different era.
I do. I do.
You're not one of these like atomized year zero Londoners who just sprung out of the soil and owe nothing to anyone.
But even though I do not like Sadiq Khan for many, many reasons, if we go to the next story, it really isn't Sadiq Khan's fault because Sadiq Khan isn't in charge of the police across the country.
No.
Theresa May started this in 2012 when she said, I'm going to reduce stop and search. And we're going to get to a graph in a minute. But Theresa May in 2014 publicly told the police off for saying, you're doing too many stop and searches, even though I've changed the law now, and 250,000 of them could be illegal. And we wonder why the police go, well, I'm doing no stop and searches because even the Home Office are telling me I could be illegally doing this.
That is mad.
And that's because when Cameron came along in 2010 with his, when you look back now, it really was a woke agenda.
Oh, he's Blair.
With his hugging his hugger hoodie, going to the North Pole. All this thing started there. And
he brought in diversity quotas for the Conservative
gay marriage.
He was literally just a continuation of Blair. Yeah,
because he saw how you win. And he went, I don't care how I do, I just want to be Prime Minister. And carried on the winning formula. So it was never forget, it's the Tories who have ruined crime disorder in this country over the last 12 years. And Theresa May was part of that in 2012. Now, if you go to the next graph, this is the amount of stops and searches from 2001 all the way up to last year.
Yeah.
So we're going up till about 2009.
Notice that Tony Blair and his Labour Party were happy to do it.
Yep, because they knew what the public want. Yep. Even minority communities want tough crime and order.
Of course they do.
Because they're usually the biggest victims of it.
It was very similar to the Democrats in America saying, oh, we're going to defund the police. And then they just polled minority communities and they're like, I don't want fewer police. Like there are dangerous gangs going around. I'd like more police if possible, please.
I've knocked on thousands of doors in my old job when I worked for the council and the police in the most diverse areas of Manchester. So Cheetham Hill, Moss Side, Hume, all those areas. And what everyone says to you on the door when you're talking about this sort of stuff is, I want more police in my area. No one has ever said to me, I want less police.
I would like more anarchy, please. I would like shootings and stabbings and gangs driving around and killing each other and dealing drugs in the streets.
The second thing they say, the second highest thing they say to you is they want more CCTV.
Yeah. I want to know why.
Because they want to be and feel protected. And then Theresa May comes in. With the new Tory government, and look at that job from 1.2 million stops and searches. All the way down to 2018, we've got 250,000. So almost 1 million less stop and searches.
And, I bet the Labour Party were haranguing them the whole time. Why are you doing so many stop and searches? Why are you doing so many stops and searches? Like, because A, it's your policy, and B, it's a good idea.
Yep.
For once. The Labour Party actually have a good idea.
But then they know that at the next election, the Labour Party going, we can talk about crime and disorder because look at the state of the country they're in. So that's why we have a knife crime and a crime epidemic. It's because people are not being stopped and searched.
Yeah.
I work with young people who don't know anyone who's ever been stopped and searched. I got stopped and searched when I was a kid several times. But they don't know anybody. So therefore, you come to the conclusion, I can carry a knife as long as I don't wave it about. Nobody will ever stop and search me. And what we need is young people thinking, when I leave this house, I could get stopped and searched randomly. And if I'm carrying a knife, I'm in big trouble.
Yeah.
And that's how we start reducing young people carrying knives.
Fear of consequences. That's
Absolutely, absolutely.
Iron fist. I'm totally in favour of it. Oppress the young people.
If we go to the next picture, just to hold the screen while we're talking about this. The issue, and let's be honest, the main issue with stop and search is it's politically awkward. And it's because more black young men are stopped than anybody else. And the reason for that is more young black men are involved in street crime and violence than any other group. And that's just a fact. Go to the government website, look at the stats, it's all there. Yeah. And that's not racist, that's facts. That's like saying we don't have to investigate white Christians' parents for FGM. Yeah. Because we know they're not going to commit FGM because crime is cultural. Yeah. So certain sections of the population are more likely to commit certain crimes than other, and it's cultural.
It's like suggesting that tax evasion is racist against the white community because most tax avoidance investigations are against straight white men or something. It's like, no, that's the kind of crime that community will commit because of their ethics and what they've got access to. Yeah. If
you look at a basketball team, it'll be predominantly made up of young black men. Do we claim that's racism because there's not enough Chinese people or Japanese people in that team?
Yeah, but it's like there's a particular kind of ethic in this particular community that facilitates young men forming gangs and stabbing each other, if not worse. And it's like, right, okay, well, that's just the fact of it.
So part of the problem is, you're right, lack of fathers, lack of education, and a poor culture. That's why the vast majority of ethnic minorities have moved to this country in the first place, because their country was failing. Why was it failing? Because their culture was failing that country. So we allow people to move this country and we allow them to keep their failing culture. Yeah. And then we're surprised when we have issues that are very similar to what they had in their home countries. Well, we allowed them to keep their own culture. We allowed them to fail. We did them a disservice. They should have landed here, lived here, and then we should have said, and we're going to help you be better than you are by embracing our culture, because our culture delivers this. Yeah. And you want this. Yeah. And you need to be part of this. And if you embrace our culture, you can contribute to all of this and your kids will have a great life. But that's politically incorrect to say.
Well, it's very politically incorrect.
Absolutely.
It is absolutely true that it's the ethics of the community. Like you said, the culture it's predicated on a certain kind of ethics. I mean, in this community, okay, well, the ethics are, you stab someone for disrespecting you. Okay, but that's not how it is in English communities.
It may have been 150 years ago.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, but you don't live 150 years ago.
If we look at things like Peaky Blinders, the English were just as violent and just as stab-friendly as some of these groups are today. It takes hundreds of years to change a culture, and we spent a lot of time and a lot of money, a lot of energy changing our underclass in this country to make them better citizens. And then just as we got to a stage where it was having huge impacts and we were seeing the way, we imported problems from all over the third world, and now we're going to have to do it all over again. So I'm not saying this is a problem for foreigners only. Crime isn't
No,
foreigners.
no.
Everyone commits crime, but we solved our problems over centuries, and then we imported it all again to do again.
We did it by being honest about what the problem was. Like this is the thing. Like, it's like you say, it's politically uncomfortable. So, well, look, this community has a problem with this kind of crime, but it is the fact of the matter. And if you want to stop that, and let's be real, it's good for them to have someone intervene in this downward spiral that this community is involved in. Like, so it doesn't get any better if you leave them on their own.
Their children are dying in pools of their own blood.
Yeah, in the middle of the day. I've seen so many videos of just gangs of black kids chasing each other around with knives and stabbing each other literally in doorways and just in the middle of the street. You just think, look, there's no benefit to them. It's not a charity or a kindness to be like, well, I don't want to be a racist and get involved and stop them from stabbing each other. No, it's evil to allow them to continue doing this.
It is. We're allowing them to fail. So I'm one of these people who always likes to give a solution.
Yeah.
Then just looking at that saying, oh, woe us and look at what's happening.
Yeah.
We need to take on board the politicalisation of stop and search. But stop and search is the answer as well as family intervention. But let's look at stop and search. The answer is to give the power back to the residents of those neighbourhoods. So we should look at each council ward, which is usually a couple of thousand people. They have elections almost every year to elect a councillor. So we add another ballot with them. So it doesn't cost the council anything because everyone's short of money.
Yeah.
And we give every resident in that area, every adult resident, a simple question to answer in their ballot. Do you want more stop and search in this area? Yes or no? If they vote no, for whatever reason, then they carry on with the policing as it is at the moment. If they vote yes, the police then are instructed to do more stop and search. And when those police officers are accused of racism and targeting, we say, we're doing what the public in this ward asked us to do. And we give the power and the responsibility back to the people, because that's where they always should reside anyway, with the people. And some areas may say, oh no, we don't want it. Well, that's fine. Don't complain when your children are being stabbed to death. And the areas that want more stop and search, hopefully will have a higher quality of life and their children will be safer.
And the thing is as well, like, because if it's a yearly election or vote, well, okay, you might not want it now, but after a few kids get stabbed, actually, maybe I will vote for stop and search.
Oh, have you seen the ward two wards down?
Yeah.
They've got heavy stop and search. There's been no crime. All the gang members now don't hang around in that ward anymore. Now they go to other wards where they won't get stopped and searched. And we give the people the power, because it's their children we're policing and it's their children we're trying to stop from dying. Let's take the politics out of it. Let's give it to the people and saying, this is where you live. This is your home.
Your choice.
Your choice. What do you want? Because we're sick of being blamed and taking responsibility. You vote on it and we'll do what you do because we're a public service.
See, to be honest with you, I mean, I think that's a very, very good solution. But I'm just thinking, I'd just impose it. We don't want stop and search. That's not my problem. You're getting stop and search. The kids in this country should live under a reign of terror when they see a couple of bobbies walking down the street. Like, oh my God, we're in trouble now, lads.
But we haven't got the politicians who will do it. I'm trying to find the way that can be acceptable.
But in my dream world, when it would be like when I was a kid, if a couple of cops come around the corner, you'd be like, oh God, I haven't done anything wrong, but I'm a bit worried that they might think I've done something wrong.
But I got stopped, like I say, I from memory, 3 or 4 times I got stopped and searched growing up on my council estate, and it was all white.
Good. Exactly. I don't care about the race of the kids. It's just that they are kids. I want them living in fear of the police, like I did. That's the way things should be done. But seriously, I think that's a good solution, because all you can say is the diverse ward here that has voted for stop and search is racist against themselves.
Take the race baiters out of it.
Exactly. That's the best they could argue, and that's a silly argument.
We're doing what the people said. Oh, you're racist. Well, the people in this area voted for this. We can't be racist.
Yeah, well, they're racist then. That's what you're saying.
I also sent a good message to the children in those areas. This is what our parents and this is what our neighbourhood wants. So maybe we are doing something wrong. Or maybe I'm a good kid, but I'll feel safer now because my local neighbourhood is sticking up for my life. They want tougher action because they're trying to save me.
I mean, the kids who don't want to get involved in this will have a place to go as well. Those wards that are safer. As in the wards that have heavy stop and search Well, I'll just go there because I don't want to get stabbed. I'll go and play
The
in
good
that park,
parents
you know.
won't let their children out and play in some areas
Oh, exactly.
because I don't want my child being corrupted, because children will make poor decisions and can follow groups sometimes and do want to fit in. So children aren't perfect. So I'm not putting my kid at risk of that. So my kid doesn't play out.
Yeah.
He can bring friends into the house, but he doesn't play out.
Yeah.
That's not a great lifestyle for a kid anyway.
God, it's the opposite of what it was like when we were young, right? I'd be out all day. My parents wouldn't have any worries about it. You know, and I'd come back when it was dark with, like, you know, red cheeks, and my mum, oh, your dinner's in the microwave or something. You know, it was just fine. It was normal. No one was like, oh God, he might get stabbed.
Exactly. But
just-
knife crime, we need to do something as a nation, and that's the only thing I can think of that would be acceptable at the moment. We need to make a start.
And the good thing about that is as well, is that, I mean, you could have it almost like a scale, you know, how stringent do you want the stop and searches to be? You could get some communities like, we want them all day, every day. You know, we want every kid to be stopped and searched when they leave the house, you know, as far as we're concerned. You know, you could have really quite, you know, the community being like, no, we want aggressive stop and search. You know, and I'd definitely vote for that, actually. Yeah, damn right.
If you appreciated that segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content we have on the site, such as Carl's speech that he gave at the Witten on the Word and the Shire. If you don't want to follow what else Carl's putting out, you can follow him on Getter at Carl Benjamin on Getter. Thank you and goodbye.